We try to take students and adults and people of all ages and abilities on voyages of exploration around our own solar system and out into the cosmos. And this can be done by outreach or in our leading facility in the digital theatre. When we travel out, we also go to the disadvantaged communities. Here we see some young children becoming astronauts of the future. And one of our main messages is, of course, that the sky is free. Whatever age you are, whatever sex you are, whatever race you are, whatever abilities you have, you can look at the sky and you can take your own journey of wonder that our ancestors would have taken many thousands of years ago. We also have the privilege of working with the Chinese community in Northern Ireland. And this is very important. Our Chinese community during the Chinese New Year Festival can come to the planetarium and learn about the heritage and scientific culture of their own homeland, whilst allowing the indigenous population of Northern Ireland to try and understand and benefit from the Chinese race and its contributions to not just astronomy and space, but to science in the world. We are privileged also to work with the special needs children in Northern Ireland. We have many of them coming to the planetarium, and it is a real privilege to have them there. They are always enthusiastic and ready for every challenge, and we give them lots of challenges. Here we see them making the astronauts. They're working with Dr. Tom Mason here to create dinosaurs, I think. Here we see them working with electricity and magnetism, trying to understand it, and working with light. So it's not just astronomy. We use astronomy as the hook, but what we try to do is instill this idea of scientific method in all abilities. We also enroll the help of the local amateur astronomers. As all of you will know, the amateur astronomers are really the public face of astronomy. And we don't treat them very well. As you can see, this is Pat O'Neill from the Irish Astronomical Association, and he is actually pretending to be the planet Earth. And the young children we see here are actually coming towards him and pelting him with near-Earth objects. We have a very funny way of looking after our astronomers, but it's Ireland. Here we see young children making their own rockets. Getting into space, as we know, is a risky operation. And these young space explorers have to design their rockets, implement them, learn about aerodynamics, and then using dihydrogen oxide and a mix of pressure, they blast their rockets into the void. If they're too close, as you can see on the right, they end up drenched. Of course, we're an astronomical facility, so we use telescopes. And we'll see that you can probably use robotic telescopes and remote observation. But they actually look at the photons coming through the telescope is so important. And so we work with small telescopes and we're rebuilding our dome to bring astronomy to our audiences in the evening when the winter skies once again are upon us. Of course, it's 40 years since the moon landings, and we're celebrating it this year. We look at the Apollo and the Saturn V, and that one small stop for man, one giant leap for mankind. And we tell the students how it was possible with the amazing technology not only to see these visual feats, but actually watch man walk on the moon and leave the footsteps behind. Of course, as I've said, space travel is inherently risky. And we have lost brave men and women in the space race. But they believed that science and the endeavour was important enough to risk their lives. And we must realise that we must honour their exploration and carry it on into the future. Space is truly international. Astronauts from all over the world work together for the benefit of mankind and to learn more about the mysterious universe. Even in our own solar system, it is hard to imagine the depths of space in the public. We can tell them that we've already travelled to many of the planets, and that in many of our children's lifetimes, we may see mankind go to the planet Mars. By no means an easy feat, and the young children of the day will be the scientists. We bring astronauts to Ireland, and they learn that our children are now using the curriculum using astronomy. And this is important. We have astronomy clubs all over Ireland who are now working with the curriculum authorities to actually create their own experiments. And these then are spread among their peers in science. And robotics. For many years to come, we will use robots to travel around the solar system and travel to the planets. And as a result, it is important that we instill this knowledge into our children. Here we see an artist's impression of the Huygens probe as it lands on Titan. And I leave you with this image: to climb high, climb far, your goal the sky, your aim the star. And we can instill this enthusiasm for scientific exploration in our children and the public, then mankind will be in good hands. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert. That was great. And I think that you mentioned you have a few minutes to stick around for a few questions. We have some that have come in. The first one is that, are there any other examples of ancient temples or structures in Ireland that have astronomical significance that you can tell us about?
Could you repeat the question again? We had a dropout.
Sure. The question was, are there other examples of ancient structures in Ireland that have astronomical significance other than the two passages that you talked about?
Mostly in modern day times. The Newgrange, as I said, is about 5,000 years old. Of course, Ireland was the home of the largest telescope in the world in the 19th century, which is the 100-inch Leviathan at Birr Castle. It has recently been refurbished. You can travel there and see it. It's in a beautiful garden setting. However, some people would question the sanity of building the largest telescope in the world in a place where it's always cloudy. But of course, a lot of famous discoveries were made there, and the drawings of the Whirlpool Galaxy came through that fantastic instrument.
Okay, thanks. And we're running a little bit behind time, so we only have time for one more question. But our last question is, what do you think the mysterious markings on the rocks in the Boyne Valley sites are? Do you have any favorite theories?
I apologize, we're having some dropouts. Again for me, please. Thank you.
Sure, I'll try once more. What do you think the mysterious markings on the rocks in the Boyne Valley sites are? Do you have any favorite theories?
Well, when you go there, I mean, it really is around the entire tomb. We do see, obviously, markings that represent different times of the season, and we can see in the markings that not only was it being used for their religious festivals, but it was also marking time to look at how you would look at the crops. So different seasons would mean you would plant your crops, and different seasons would mean that you would harvest them. But most of the designs are very creative, and it's very hard to put your own interpretation into them. But I think that's part of the fantastic site of Newgrange, in that you can go there and your imagination can go back to the time as they looked to the sky, and they didn't have the observational tools that we have nowadays. And they were also trying to make that connection with space that we try to do in society now. So I think it is great to make that link with our ancestors 5,000 years ago.
Okay, thanks, Robert. I'm sorry we don't have time for more questions. That was all really interesting.